there's a lot of fires burning. We have the sense that things are in, we're in deep weeds. And so we're happy that they're working to put those fires out. But what we don't know as a culture is what's going to happen after. Are we just going to be left with a nation where there aren't fires burning, but now we've got smoking ruins and we have to rebuild, but we don't really have a plan for rebuilding? Or do we know what we can build? Do we have some sort of vision of what the post-fire burning scenario is going to be for us? That's what I believe we can offer. We may not be the only people who do this, but by looking at the overall design, looking at the vision that a transformed economic system is about, because this isn't just about a mechanistic fix. If it was, this metaphor I like to use where you can't drive a car anymore if you suddenly find yourself on the ocean. You have to turn that car into a boat. It has to transform, like a caterpillar into a butterfly. I mean, something that's totally different and appropriate to this new world. And that vision of what that new butterfly, that new boat for the water will be, is where hope comes from. Hope doesn't just come from knowing that you're going to fix things. Hope comes from knowing that once things are fixed, you're going to have something better. Not just more of what you had, not just that rich man, poor man world. So what I believe we can develop is an organization that proposes economic system redesign with a huge hope component to it. Because we're not just talking about economic system fix. We're not just talking about putting what's broken back together. We're talking about economic system transformation. And as Leslie Gelb wrote a number of years ago in a wonderful New York Times essay, when the world changes radically, I mean, again, I said there is this change going on, and people like Bill McDonough are at the forefront of it today. There is a need to look for people who understand that new set of principles, not just look, as contrasted with looking for the people who have been working with the old principles all along. So when you're looking to turn your car into a boat, you don't just go to the auto mechanics, you go to the people who design racing hulls for the America's Cup. The America's Cup people aren't the same people who build dragsters for the quarter-mile track. It's something different that they know. So this book, Blue Ocean Strategy, I mentioned it 2 weeks ago briefly also. I use it as a example of very popular in the business world resource. And since we are dealing with economics and we are dealing with business people, I feel that there might be a little benefit to borrowing one of their favorite books in talking about changing strategy, because they use this metaphor of Kim and Malborn use this metaphor of going from an ocean where everybody is competing with each other to provide what people are already used to going into an ocean that is calm because nobody is there yet, and offering something that is so fresh and vibrant and has such great vision to it that people are drawn away from the red ocean where everybody is giving what's been given for years into the blue ocean where you are the sole provider. So if we become the champion of an economic system that is hopeful, that is not about scarcity, even if scarcity is a reality that can be argued as being valid, but we champion an economic system that is about abundance, because we show that while it may not exist today across the board, it can exist. It's a matter of knowing that the science is there, even if we haven't done it yet. It's very much like what went on in the early 1950s when Wernher von Braun and all the other rocket scientists, they knew that they had figured out how to get to the moon. Now, they hadn't gone there yet, but they knew they could. All they needed was enough support, enough organization, government dollars, et cetera, and they entered into a process of educating the public and telling their story in such a way that it gave people hope. It offered this vision of realizing a dream that had been a dream for thousands and thousands of years. So, again, what we are looking to do is propose redesigning, not repairing the system. And when you look to redesign, you have to look at what is the larger system that controls what kind of design is acceptable. In other words, if you are in a world where some people are on the land, some people are on the ocean, you have to be able to say that being on the ocean is where you want to be. That's the larger socio-political system. And then once you convince people that the ocean is beneficial, and now again using metaphors, once you convince people that this abundance-based economic scenario is available to them, then that drives them to accept getting out of their cars and getting into a boat. But you can't get somebody into a boat until you convince them that it's okay to go in the water. Or in some cases, the water even exists, because there may be some people who, they've never even seen the ocean. And there are people like that. 9th of February, the BBC News reported that World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab, at the end of the World Economic Forum, which most people felt didn't produce any solutions, he denounced that he was going to lead a global redesign initiative. That his World Economic Forum organization, is going to lead a global redesign initiative to reform banking, regulation, and corporate governance. Now, right idea, wrong methodology. Why do I say that? Any guesses?
Missing the fundamental, issues. I think these 3 points are just superficial.
Well, you say superficial. I say one part at a time. Because if you only look at parts, you don't see the big picture. In other words, if you're in that car and you don't get outside the car, even though it may be sinking into the water because you're no longer on dry land, because your vision is limited, you may just think, oh, I've got a flat tire, I just need better tires, I'll be fine. Because you're not outside your ordinary perspective. So he's saying we have to fix banking, regulation, and corporate governance. He's not seeing that we need to deal with redesigning our system based on abundance versus scarcity, so we don't have that rich man, poor man outcome.
Would this be an example then of putting out fires as opposed to what that you said earlier?
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think that this is pretty much whatever we call it, Reaganomics, trickle down, whatever it might be. It's talking about fixing the top because it will trickle down and therefore fix the bottom. But right now, we're seeing a global economic meltdown in places, China, for example, because the global economic machine is based on the consuming power of the American public. So, the fact that someone won't buy a TV directly relates to someone losing a job in China. Fixing the global economic banking system, as we've seen with Reaganomics, it's going to take 15, 20 years for that actually to trickle down and have an impact on the average worker.
Well, it's that psychology issue. It's what Bill Clinton is talking about. I mean, here's the new issue The Economist came out on Friday. The collapse of manufacturing. This is the story of the shutdown globally of manufacturing. The numbers are dropping everywhere, and they're dropping by like 10% a year reductions, and they don't know whether this is going to be a straight line or whether this is going to be a curve.